What's up, football fans? Moose here hanging out with you on NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Now, before we get into the weekend, some massive updates have come around, specifically around two big-named quarterbacks, one being Aaron Rodgers, the other one being Kirk Cousins. Rodgers met with the Steelers today, and Kirk Cousins apparently now has a trade cost, according to one NFL insider, which I completely disagree with. But this is why you sub. All news, all rumors covered here at Chat Sports, whether it's about the NFL, the NBA, the WNBA, the MLB, doesn't matter. We've got it covered here at Chat Sports. So do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. All right, so a decision apparently is coming sooner rather than later surrounding Aaron Rodgers. He officially met with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is what Adam Schefter had to say. He kind of retweeted one other NFL insider. And here's kind of what Adam Schefter wrapped up and said. Aaron Rodgers is visiting with the Steelers training facility today and meeting with their coaching staff. Dulac reported. No deal at this time is close per source. And after the meeting happened, he kind of retweeted and said, he met with them, things went well, but they are still no closer to a deal than when they started. So to me, this is just a handshake. It's like, hey, I'm finally starting to get the ball rolling if I'm Aaron Rodgers and say, all right, I've kind of played this out long enough to where the NFL media is kind of getting sick of me, so I kind of have to make a decision. And Rodgers, I'm going to be completely honest with you. After the first half of last year, we were kind of writing him off. He picked it up a little bit towards the end of the second half of last year, but we are talking about 3 to 4 years removed since Rodgers was elite. Now, what could this mean for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they were to sign Rodgers? Well, let's just take a look at what happened in 2025 free agency so far. They traded for DK Metcalf. They got Mason Rudolph. As of right now, he's most likely your week 1 starter. They traded for signed Darius Slay. They lost Najee Harris and they lost Justin Fields. They're most likely going to lose Russell Wilson. So really, the Steelers have kind of upgraded in a lot of different areas. The one position that they need is quarterback. And thank God there has been movement on this front, because I can tell you personally, and my producer Dylan over here, who's on the ones and twos today, we are so sick of hearing the name Aaron Rodgers and him not making a decision. So even though there isn't one quite yet, I'm very thankful that there has at least been some movement and that we're not just stuck with our feet in the mud, wondering if Aaron Rodgers is going to play football again in 2025. Now, if he is going to be signing with the Steelers, and if they do decide to bring him on, he should only get a 1-year deal, right? Like, Aaron Rodgers is not the same Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay. And in fact, I think any team would be smart to look at what the Jets gave him and say, we're steering very far clear of that whole mess. A 1-year deal, $20 million, because he's not going to take a huge pay cut. He's going to take a pay cut, but not that big of a pay cut. Bring him in, draft a quarterback, mentor the kid, and just move on from the NFL. This has got to be your swan song if you're Aaron Rodgers, and this has got to be your last year. It just frankly has to be. So you tell me, where's Rodgers going to play in 2025? I've said so many different times he's going to play for the Giants, he's going to play for the Steelers, then the Vikings got thrown in there, and completely honestly and in full transparency, I think he should probably just retire at this point, but it's looking like it's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. But let me know if you have a team that you think he's going to play for down in the comment section below. Now, before we get into any more discussion, especially surrounding Mr. Kirk Cousins, if you want to shop for some Chat Sports gear, that's right, we've got some t-shirts that say Real One, which of course you are a real NFL fan. You can do it with the link here in the description and the comments of today's video. It would be a great help to us here at Chat Sports if you were to, start shopping with Fanatics, who is a sponsor of today's video. And you know what? We get a nice little kickback if you decide to buy one of these shirts. So thank you to Fanatics for sponsoring today's video. Comments and description, this link will be in. Okay, so back on to our massive updates. Mr. Kirk Cousins now apparently has some trade value. And we were just talking about Kirk Cousins being cut from the Falcons, so this doesn't necessarily make the most sense, in my opinion. But one NFL insider says that there is now a cost for Kirk Cousins. Now, I think there might be a little speculation in this. I don't necessarily believe that there's a ton of trade value for Kirk Cousins. This could just be Cousins' agent trying to bring up the price and get anything for Kirk. But here is what Josina Anderson said about the whole thing. She's the NFL insider we're talking about. The offseason carousel continues to churn. I was just told these two quarterback names came up in recent preliminary trade inquiries or internal discussions. She's talking about Will Levis and Kirk Cousins. Atlanta has been getting calls. I heard talk of a third-round pick being potentially actionable. We're going to talk about that particular pick in just a second, but let's take a look at what Kirk Cousins did last year. For the first 9 games of the season before that shoulder injury, he was actually pretty good. Quarterback rating of 102 is nothing to shy away at. That is top 10 in the league. And then the last 5 games, dove off a cliff. Swan dived, nose dived off of a cliff. So Kirk Cousins' better days are behind him. Remember, the dude's like 36 years old. He's coming off of a shoulder injury. The year prior, he had that horrible, gruesome leg injury. So we're talking about an aging quarterback with injury history who's looking to be a franchise quarterback still. It's not going to happen. And a third rounder is never going to happen. Allow me to rant on this for a little bit. You mean to tell me that if you're the GM of an NFL franchise, you are making serious inquiries about calling up to buy for the talents of Kirk Cousins, and they're saying, hey, we'll happily give him to you, but for a third rounder? No shot in hell is that ever happening. You could maybe talk me into it if this was a 30-year-old quarterback who had just come off of an MVP season and getting a third round. Maybe, especially with the injury history. But there's no shot in hell that's ever going to happen, especially for a third-round pick. Now, what could he fetch? Personally, I don't think there's going to be any talk of giving him any draft compensation, but in the interest of keeping it kind of lighthearted, maybe a team like the Browns would trade for Kirk Cousins because they need a quarterback. They just traded for Kenny Pickett. So maybe they would give a 7th rounder, maybe. But again, probably not going to happen. I just don't see any shot that Kirk Cousins has any trade value. Most likely what's going to happen is the Falcons are going to cut Kirk Cousins and have to eat some dead cap space. It's just the way life works, especially when you take risks on quarterbacks. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Pick a quarterback for me. You could pick Aaron Rodgers, you could pick Kirk Cousins, or you could pick any other quarterback to start. So if you were a GM and you're like, heading into the 2025 season, I can choose either Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, or any other free agent quarterback. Let me know which one you would pick. All right, we're going to end our show with a little bit of fun. I love this part of the show. A little wheel of impressions, so I like to add a little bit of flair to my shows. And it was actually thrown out there to me by one of the other producers here. They were like, hey, if you like doing impressions, make a wheel of impressions and just start adding names to it, and let's see if the audience can add some stuff for you. So we're going to do this for the very first time here on one of my VODs. Mr. Dillon on the 1s and 2s, give it a spin for me, will you? Tick, 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 tick. Ah, Mr. Plankton from SpongeBob. All right, this is a recent one that I've been trying to work on. I don't know how good it is, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Hey, Krabs. How about you give me the secret formula? All right, I'll give it a solid C. What do you think, Mr. Producer? Throw up a little hand sign. A thumbs up, I'll take a thumbs up. And here's what I'm going to ask you to do. If you like this part of the show and you want to see me add another impression to the Wheel of Impressions, put it down in the comment section below. We're trying to keep this lighthearted and fun while also keeping our ball knowledge as high as possible as well. That is going to do it for us here on the show today. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with a friend if you love what we're doing at Chat Sports. My name is Moose. Until next time, be cool.